Hey, we'd like to shout out to everybody in the Profiling Evil family. This is Mike King, and I'm here with Chris McDonough. We have been getting barraged from you since about noon Mountain Time regarding a woman's body that was discovered just outside of Colorado Springs in a little area called Manitou. We wanted to just jump on quickly to share a couple of our thoughts as this unfolds and maybe give you a couple of things to think about. But most importantly, Chris, I think what we want to do is also invite all of the crime fighters that are following us now to spend some time this evening and follow this story, look at all the social media, everything else, and keep us advised at profilingevil@gmail.com, as many of you have already done. So, Chris, why don't you bring us up to date on what's happening?
Yeah, so Mike, right now it's pretty early, right? But it looks like they've discovered some type of, victim of some sort off of one of the highways, Highway 24, I believe, in Colorado. So, if you have any information, if you see let's tee it up on the screen here. Yeah, so this is obviously, two things we want to always keep in mind here. I mean, we don't know right now, right? And we certainly don't want to speculate on anything here at all for the family or anything, So that's the first thing to keep in mind. So typically what happens here, if CBI starts rolling on this thing, because they have been involved in obviously the first incident with Suzanne, or if we start seeing, the SO from that region start rolling up there, that is also something else to pay attention to. But more importantly, let's take a look at the route potentially.
Chris, before we do that, I wanted to mention a couple things that I thought were kind of significant, just looking at the short brief that's been released. Yeah. Number one is, again, I agree with you. If CBI is called out, that's a pretty interesting indication that there's something a little different about this particular body that's been discovered. The other thing I think is kind of significant is what the condition of that body is. Is this a mummified body that's been there for months, or is this something that's just recently discovered and is obviously happening within the last couple of days? The thing that I found interesting in the article was just this little piece right here by the public information officer. And I'm going to quote it. This is Jackie Kirby from the sheriff's office talking. She says, officers found a body of a female after responding to several calls for a welfare check. Now, you've been on welfare checks. I've been on welfare checks. Oftentimes those are in a home. If this is in a home and it's a neighbor calling, that really moves us a long ways away from Suzanne Morphew. If this is someone who's discovered and noticed a female body off the side of the road and they're calling for a welfare check, then it could be a completely different story. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, no, totally, 100%. And we would also expect, because it's been such a high profile caper, to see some of maybe even the FBI evidence teams, kind of weigh in potentially, right? Or at least somebody, I think we would start seeing some FBI jackets hanging around this particular crime scene, because they had such an expended resource over at the slab situation. So
yeah, I think we would expect to see some time for every family member of every family that has someone missing as they wait to hear more news about this. You were asking about the map. Let's just bounce to it real quickly. This is again the Morphew home in the area we've looked at several times on our broadcasts. But if we were to just bounce out and look at this, the thing you were, I think, bringing up that I thought was pretty interesting was, again, just kind of retracing some of the statements that we know of, that Barry was in Denver. The little crosshairs on the map show an approximate area. We have no idea where this was. All the reports say is west of this location in Colorado Springs. But if we were to look at Barry's travel route, most probably to Denver, it would have gone, if he were to drive through this area, it would look something like this. Now, it's kind of interesting because looking at that, this is a roughly an 80-minute drive to make that trip. If we were to look direct to Denver in the way we were originally looking at this on the first maps we created, going up this way, it actually is a 91-minute drive. So all of a sudden the possibilities kind of explode and make you kind of wonder what's going on. But man, we've both been involved in these kind of cases, and you can lose focus really quickly when something like this happens. I mean, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, you nailed it right there. I mean, staying focused on, what the reality potentials could be. I mean, let's also remember, if just as a hypothesis right now, right? Because we don't know, and we keep saying that, and we're always going to be in the middle. I mean, that's kind of what we do, right?
Yeah. It's good we do that.
When we listen to Tyson's, video of, the statement that he got, that day out there where he and Barry ran into each other. The one thing that I think you and I both can, we've been concerned with is the us, the them, the we, all of that pluralization. So let's start thinking, is there another person involved in this? Okay. And do they, because now we have to connect the house, we have to connect potentially the road, the dump site, if it's a hypothetical right now. So there's a lot of what ifs right now, and we don't want to speculate on any of that stuff, but it also does make you think, is that a route? And if so, let's take a hard look at that, but let's not forget, the house too, that we haven't been able to, kind of come to grips with. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I think you're right on. In fact, even if this were accurate, you can't step away from the house yet. We haven't solved we haven't cracked the nut there.
Yeah. Here you go. I mean, here's a picture of, CSI guy, crime scene investigator, going in. This, you can tell he's an old salt. He's done it before.
And I think a camera on his neck there.
It's either a body camera or an old 35. I mean, I can't tell for sure, but he's been around the block. Let's just say that. I think there's another picture too, Mike, but let's run with that one if you've got it.
Now this one really piqued your interest, Chris. I think you ought to chase this for a second as we kind of wrap up today.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a really interesting picture, and this evidence tech here, she is holding either water or luminol in that squirt bottle. The water would be for wetting up their swabs, and those swabs can be for a couple of things, right? I mean, you could be doing a mouth swab, you could be doing spraying luminol, and then you all of a sudden discover maybe blood, and so you're going to swab that, and that's where those two evidence envelopes that she has in her left hand that she's clenching there, those are typically flat type of evidence envelopes that usually have a swab. It's usually it's a piece of styrofoam or something. They stick it into that bad boy, and I've seen those evidence gals just like that walk out looking exactly like that with some serious potential evidence that could break this thing wide open.
This is interesting. I mean, so more likely than not, it's nothing.
Yeah, it's a possibility. Absolutely.
As this case is concerned, and I want to correct that. This is huge because there is a human being that's been discovered along a roadside. And again, we wanted to jump on because you folks have been hitting us really hard in the last couple of hours, and we just felt like, I mean, you've been awfully good to us. We wanted to just jump in and give you a couple of things to think about, and we want to give you that assignment. Man, spend some time tonight, and then send us some emails of what you're uncovering about this thing. I suspect they're going to find a lot of things we can't find, Chris. So,
Mike, I think we're learning that, right? And don't forget to subscribe down there. And thank you, everybody, last night for really supporting us on our channel. We're grateful. We're grateful.
And I can see a lot of people streaming in with questions right now. And folks, I don't know if we have any answers. For those that you just tuned in, a body was discovered just west of Colorado Springs. It's a very intriguing distance from the Morphew home. If you look on this map, it's the little bullseye that's on the map to the far east or to the right of your screen. The lines that are drawn on the map are actually the most probable route that someone would drive to go to Denver from Salida. And of course, the thing that really became kind of interesting in this discussion today that we hadn't picked up on before is that it's actually a shorter distance to go through Manitou and Colorado Springs, which, Chris, I mean, that one caught me off guard.
Yeah. And, Mike, one other thing that we need to remind everybody, this could be what we would call a secondary crime scene. Okay? It doesn't necessarily mean it is the crime scene. So let's keep that in mind, because we have something going on at that house, like we just, talked about. Okay. Either it's a process of elimination or it's a process of collection. Okay. And if this is a secondary crime scene, it's going to be interesting to find out what everybody, digs up here.
Yeah, folks, that secondary crime scene, to put a title on that, if I might, Chris, is we have initial contact sites that we look at in crimes like this. We have the crime scene, and we have disposal sites, which usually in the case of a homicide ends up being where the body is eventually discovered or disposed of. And again, we don't know anything about this. This could have been a jogger that had a heart attack this afternoon.
Yeah,
over.
Absolutely.
So please, I mean, as you're looking at this, don't spin up and start tweeting that they found somebody or didn't. We just wanted to, again, answer your questions. And again, thank you for whatever you are doing along the way. JA, thanks. I'll tell you what, we have been overwhelmed by the support that we've been getting and the speed at which this channel is growing. And we're going to keep working hard to put relative content on there, or relevant content, I'm sorry. And I don't know what I'd be doing on this thing without you, Chris. So thanks so much for being here on every one of these. This is like the old days when we were a lot younger, being able to work homicide cases together.
It is, Mike. And our friendship, I've cherished it for many, many years. And for our viewers that don't know our history, Mike and I met a long time ago after a homicide. So as you're new to us, we'll talk some interesting stories for you. But let's always remember we have 2 daughters here, a husband potentially, other family members on the Morphew side, and the Mormon side, her maiden name and her family. We don't know. So let's give them the benefit of the doubt until the evidence is in. And we can go from there.
Jackie Montoya, thanks so much. Again, folks, when you contribute a little bit to help us out, I cannot tell you how helpful that is, because hopefully the quality of the content that we're giving you makes this just a little different. And the donations that you're making are helping us pay the folks that help us keep this thing looking good. So thank you. Nat, man. Nat, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Man, thanks. It's just amazing. And we'll watch this throughout the night. Email us, profilingevil@gmail.com, or go to the website, profilingevil.com, and sign up. And like Chris said, if you haven't subscribed and hit the bell, please do, because we really need your numbers and we need your support so that we can continue to try to do things like this. And let us know, too, if this is goofy. If you'd rather not hear from us on things like this, let us know, because we don't want to waste your day. But we also didn't want people running down rabbit holes that maybe aren't going to be productive. Chris?
Nope, totally agree, Mike. And we'll see you guys on the next one, right?
Thank you so much. Have a great afternoon. And please ping us and let us know what you discover.
Thank